Why do we work hard to solve small problems? Why do we reinvent ourselves and our clients over and over? And why are we giving away marketing strategy for free? It's time to bring home bigger paychecks. It's time to create the lifestyle we deserve and to make a greater impact. This is the Fractional CMO Show, and I'm Casey Stanton. Join me as we explore this growing industry and learn to solve bigger problems. Hey, it's Casey here, and I want to talk to you about a really critical thing to keep in mind as the CMO, or if you're serving multiple organizations, as the fractional chief marketing officer. And that's this idea of new and different versus routine. And new and different in this situation is kind of referring to a new task, something that's new and different that you're asking someone to do. Maybe it's something that you're doing yourself. So let's just take an easy example. As the CMO, you might identify that, okay, what we need to do, team, is we need to set up an email tool and send out emails to a list that we have. We have this mailing list, great. Let's load it up into MailChimp. So we'll have to set up a free account, pay for it, load it in, and then send out our email to that list. This is something that you may have done before. You may have done it 100 times before. But I want you to keep in mind this idea that it's new and different for the team. And with that, you should expect a level of friction that comes with it. Maybe it's not difficulty, it's just natural friction. Why? Because maybe setting things up in MailChimp has become more difficult than it was when you last did it. With all of this GDPR and can spam stuff, all coming up, maybe it's more difficult to import a list into MailChimp and you didn't realize it or appreciate it. Maybe there's going to be a whole issue in getting the credit card. And you got to go through a credit card authorization request. That's got to get over to the finance team. They have to approve it. Then you can, sign up for it, yada, yada. New and different things take more time than we tend to anticipate they'll take. When you hire someone, everything that you give them to them is new and different. None of it is routine. So I think of everyone that I lead as the CMO of having two types of tasks. They have new and different tasks, and then they have routine tasks. And the goal is to fill their plate to capacity, let them achieve the outcomes requested, but then take that new and different stuff and move it over to routine. Once something becomes routine, it becomes straightforward. It becomes, I wouldn't say easy, but it's repeatable with less friction. So if every single month you launch a webinar, the first webinar, it's going to be hairy. The second webinar, it's going to be hairy. The third one, a little bit easier. On the fifth or sixth, you're going to hit your groove, and the person that sets up the webinar, that pulls the script together, that sends the invites out, all that stuff becomes easier. That becomes routine. You want to put routine tasks on certain people too, right? I can think of a few people that I lead as their CMO who are really, really wonderful at new and different things. They have a new idea, I have a new idea, I delegate it to them, and they just jump on it, and they innovate, and they figure it out, and they solve it. And then once they've done it, they never want to touch it again. Personally, I'm that person. I don't want to do the same task over and over again. My wife, on the other hand, she's really good at doing the same thing over and over again and improving on it. It's a great skill set for her to have. I just don't really have it. I don't want to do the same thing over and over again. I want the new and the different. So this idea of new and different versus routine is actually like multi-layer. First, there's the tasks that you give to someone. That can be new and different, or they can be routine. Next is, for the organization at large, what are the routine tasks and who's doing them? And is that person really the right person to be holding a routine task? Do they continue to fail at it? Do they not really like it? Can you go find someone who's really great at the routine? On my team, I was looking for someone on the routine side, and I was down to a final interview and interviewed a gentleman named Nabir. And I said, in one word, describe your work style. And he said, consistent. And that's what I needed, someone consistent. And I said, you got the job. So the idea here is that new and different takes more effort, routine doesn't. So when you give tasks to someone, first of all, are they the right person to take out a new and different task? Are you giving them too much of a blank slate and it's just too much for them? Maybe. Does that make them the wrong person for the organization? Maybe. But also they could be the right person for the organization because they're going to go and optimize and maximize for that. Also, when you think through like your quarter or the next sprint, you have to consider what's new and different. What are we doing that's new and different? Why? Because if I know it's new and different, I can predict what's not going to actually happen on time. Or I can look at someone's plate and say, ooh, you have too many new and different things on your plate. there's just so much unknown here. I don't have confidence you're going to hit everything out of the park, despite them being really smart, hardworking, etc. I just can't have expectations that someone's going to finish something if it's new and different. If they've done it before, and then this time I say, hey, I want you to do that thing again, and they say, you got it, I know what to do, I can trust them on that. But if they've never done it before, it's not that I can't trust them, it's just that I don't trust the estimation. I just don't think it's accurate because, there's a multiplier that we have to apply to some of these tasks because it's just harder. I can think of hundreds of campaigns that I've gone through that have just been bigger than we initially thought. And maybe, inside I'm an optimist and I think it's more simple than it is. But really, when you want to do it right, if you have an organization that has some kind of code review before anything gets published live, if you have a staging server, if you have to work with developers, if you have to work and take an email list through Neverbounce to clean it up and prove that the list was an opt-in list, any of those things like that are hard to kind of predict. For me, maybe they're easier for you to predict. But if you can't predict that stuff and really kind of clarify all of your different roadblocks, it's going to be difficult for you to estimate how much time it's going to take to get something done. So this little bug in your ear is to remind you that there's two distinct types of tasks. There's new and different, and then there's routine tasks. And what do you do with that information? Well, it should be guiding you on just ensuring that people are doing all that they can do, all that's appropriate for them to be doing, and that you have confidence that they're going to actually be able to achieve those outcomes in a given time period. If that's helpful, I'd love to hear it. Come over to our Fractional CMO community at cmox.co/community. It's a free Facebook group. I'd love to have you join. It's at cmox.co/community. Thank you for joining us for today's show. For more information and episodes, visit our site at fractionalcmoshow.com. Go ahead and punch that like and subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. It means a lot, at least to my mom.